Yeah, buddy. Powers that be. We're going to have to dive into it, shall we? Now, the powers that be, when you look at the word power and you understand this is to control. The powers that be control the government, which if you break down the word government, it means basically a structure or organization that controls. Now, what do they control, this government? Well, they control the people. They control corporations. And some people don't understand that technically we're in a modern slavery type environment. And most people don't understand this. But we'll get into that in another video, because we got to make a full video talking about corporations and you. I've talked about this in the past, but it's been quite a long time since I talked about your straw man. But we're not going to dive into that in this video, at least much. But there's a group that controls the government, which controls the people. Now, can you figure out why they do this? Why do they control the people? Well, they want to make a line in the dirt between them and you. They want to make sure that you are not affiliating with them. You aren't intermingling with their genes. That you aren't able to hurt them in any way, whether that's to destroy their power structure, to destroy their genes, to whatever, right? That's all what power is. Power is controlling somebody else through the mind. And if you go back to the word government, well, they govern to control and meant your mentality. They are trying to control your mind. And if they control your mind into believing what's legal and what's not legal, and you obey that, or a religious structure, which the powers that be once upon a time ran on a religious structure, again, controlling the mind, where people act out as good people, because good people are easy to control. Bad people, not so much. It's hard to control somebody that doesn't give a fuck about what's legal or not legal, or what's moral or what's not moral, right? It's hard to control those people, so they want to make everybody good people. So they try to apply morality and play with your heart in order to control you. Now, why do they want to control you? Other than separating them from you. Well, another great reason why they do this is that when they control you, they get all the resources, the benefits, and an easier life. Easier life for them and the generations to come. Now, the reason they want to do that is because after generation of them being up on top of the power grid, that was the wrong word, the power, it is still a grid, it's just not your electronics or electrical grid or anything like that, but your power grid, as in control grid. They want to be on top of that, which will totally override the smaller one's ability to move up and to get on their level. So they're going to use you to spin that hamster wheel so they can live a luxurious life. Watch my video, What If I Told You, which sums up my channel. And I talk about that you are just running a hamster wheel. That they are controlling you through corporations, through media, through control. And this control is through the mind. Now, they want mind control. Mind control is something that has been perfected generation, century, even millenniums. This is nothing new. People who want to be in control and in power and have endless generations of wealth and power aren't going to go away. So they're going to create a structure where they maintain the top position and you can't ever prosper, or at least ever question or ever get to the point of competing with their level. They don't want that. Unless you are part of the bloodline. So this would be like fourth cousins and stuff like that, you know, where they let you, okay, well, here's our idea. We're going to control the world with oil. Rockefellers, right? So they use oil in order to control. They use resources, and they use the government to be the mediator to let something happen or something not to happen. So they let the oil industry being a monopoly through the Rockefellers, through a bloodline, through family. The reason why they have this is for total control. So nobody steps up to the plate with oil that's cheaper, right? It has to come through a specific source. Now, today, we have multiple oil companies, right? Tons of oil companies. You can't say there isn't. But they all come from a source, and that source is a source of power. You have to be regulated through the government. Now, this stuff is real. Government regulates some and benefits few. And these powers that be are families. These are people that have been generation after generation that control different factions of the major parts of resources and control structures. So the ones who control the government are very wealthy elites. The people that control the oil are wealthy elites. The people that control money in general, the banking scheme, which I will get into a video on the banking scheme one day. I know I probably said that a year ago, but it's very simple, the banking scheme, and I would love to boil it down for you. So there's tons of aspects. The DuPont family with plastics, right? They have a monopoly on plastics, where they use the centralized government to destroy all the competition and to let them be successful and to maintain top of the power pyramid scheme grid. Right? Again, this is separating them from you because they have something called government, which you want to say, which will allow them to succeed. And if you try to question their authority or do something that's illegal, well, you end up dead or in jail. Oil companies. Well, the problem with oil companies is that there's other companies that have to be in the top of the spectrum, like Tesla. So we have Elon Musk, which some of you guys don't understand this. He's an elite member. A lot of people don't know this. He is royal bloodline. So he's told that he has to play this position of bringing batteries into existence, which are going to be long-lasting, can power trucks even for 500 miles at a time on a single charge, without the use of oil. Because when they get oil out of the equation, well, they need some power structure behind batteries, so they don't have competition. And Elon Musk and the Tesla are in the top part of that priority. So the reason why things take forever to get through, let's say, things that change the paradigm of the system, well, they have to be in the top forefront of it, or else. So this would be like Bitcoin or any other type of cryptocurrency. They have to regulate that shit, not because dollars have something to do with it, which some people speculate because that's what the government's initial reasoning, like their outline reasoning would be because of, well, it goes against the system that's currently in place. But the truth is that they need to come up with a system and regulate the rest. You understand that? They regulate the rest while keeping some other system in play. And the dollar isn't going to go anywhere until they create, the Federal Reserve creates a cashless system. Completely cashless. I don't mean, just numbers on a computer for their dollar system. I mean completely cashless, where cash has no value at all. Until they create a cryptocurrency for the modern dollar, they're going to regulate the crap out of everything else and make sure nothing else leaks to the top, because they have to be at the top. So they're going to separate themselves from the other cryptocurrencies and say that theirs is official rather than one of these side cryptocurrencies. Hope you guys understand that. The same thing, like I said, goes with the Tesla. They need their battery up front before somebody leaks through the system and creates it and monetizes it and makes money off of it and becomes powerful off of it. See, there are systems out there, there's even children out there that have created new technologies that wind up dead. These people, these children even, wind up dead or wind up missing or whatever because they don't want the new technology to be out there. They are still making money and power is going into these systems. So you ever wonder why, well, we have cars that run on water. Why don't we just put that into existence? Well, of course, you can look up on YouTube right now, people that are successful in creating engines that run on water, right? How much water do we have? And what will happen after we use the water? Well, it vaporizes into the atmosphere and comes back down as water. It's never ending. They have systems that create energy, like windmills and other things. But now you have to be taxed and regulated on something that is air-powered or solar-powered. If you're trying to light up your grid on solar, there's a lot of places that still recommend you, most places, to not go off-grid, because going off-grid's illegal. They want you still on their structure. They don't want you to be separate from their structure. The reason being is because they lose control over you. Now, if you ever watched my video, my 10 years to retirement video, my plan to retire in 10 years video, I talk about going off-grid. I talk about leaving the power structure, having minimal bills, and just paying one thing. You want to know what that one thing is? Property taxes. Because that's as little as I figured at the time that I could pay and still be sustainable and live a happy, prosperous life. This would be going off-grid, solar panels, my own water bank, which is rainwater collection. All this stuff's illegal, right, in most places in the U.S. Yes, collecting rainwater is illegal in the United States. So there's tons of things that I want to do in order to get to that point of having minimal bills and being less controlled. Again, I'm an anarchist. I don't want to be controlled by these powers that be. Now, I don't hate the player, I hate the game. The structure has been created carefully over thousands of years. I know that's tough for you guys to understand, but if you look at simple history, you understand that these powers that be have created a pretty healthy structure to keep them at top and keep you at bay, keep you from being prosperous. And this is mainly the idea. Now, I don't believe anything that I say when it comes to history 100%, right? Because I don't 100% agree with the history they've told us. But one of the reasons they say that we created America and people left, the Europeans left Europe to come to America, was from freedom from that system, from the powers that be. Now, what happened? Well, that didn't last long. All of a sudden, boom, we have, all these wars to try to create a power structure in the United States, something that's powered by the west of Europe. Now, European powers that be didn't want you to be prosperous in America. They wanted a piece of that pie. They wanted to control that. Now, imperialism is a very important structure to the elites. They want to control the world. Now, they pretty much control the world now, but they don't control everything in the world. They still have to go through legalization before creating a war. That's why lawyers are involved in war. It's because they have to get lawyers to articulately legalize their attempt for war and imperialism. So everything does have to be in a legal process still. Even the powers that be, before they create a war or a new law, they have to go through the system and create it. They have to regulate and make sure that they have the wording correct where they can use it and you can't. So everything has to be specific. Legalese is a language that most people can't even comprehend because the wording is so crazy. Just the word understanding in legalese is different than how you understand understanding. If you say you understand, that means you surrender to in legalese. So it's a whole nother language. And the powers that be know how to use this. And they use this so they have control over something in a specific secretive language that you don't understand. Get it? Understand? Understand how you see it is, do you have knowledge of? Do you comprehend? But in legalese, it's, do you stand under this authority? Do you understand what the judge is saying to you, right? Well, that means you're going under what they say, and you agree to what they say. It's a contract, a verbal contract at that point. But you guys don't understand legalese. I might do a whole video on this at one point. Now, the powers that be, they're not going to give up their role. They're trying to do whatever it takes to have all types of power. Now, going back to the United States and people trying to be prosperous in the United States, well, they had to separate, or they had to stop this, rather. Because if you had anarchy or libertarianism in the United States, well, you're a threat to them and their power structure. Because the word will get out about this stuff. Because a lot of people that came from these countries went to the United States and explained to people how bad it was to live under their rule. Now you can be here and be prosperous under libertarianism, under their own merit, their own prosperity, under their own free will in the free capitalistic market. Well, powers that be need to come here and tax the shit out of everyone. They want to control you. So the main method of control and everything under that goes under that is through government. So you have to pay taxes to the government, which is technically a mafia. If you look at technical terms and definitions, government is a mafia. Watch my video, government is a mafia, or whatever I labeled that video. So the elite use this mafia control, mafian control, is that a word? Mafian? Control to control the masses and taxation and all these other things that you surrender to becomes a control process. Because originally the mindset was taxation is theft, right? Which is basically a principle for anything, right? This is a moral principle. They left the Europe to come to America to be prosperous, so they don't have to have taxation on tea. Like, what the fuck does the government have to do with tea? And why not a banana? You know, like, why are you taxing tea? Because once you give an inch to these bloodsuckers, they're going to take a whole mile. They're going to take, if they want you to give a pint of blood, well, next thing you know, you're going to be sucked dry. You're going to be dead. So, taxation back in early United States was 0, and then it went to a 2% tax on tea, and then it went to now 50% of your paycheck plus 8 whatever percent of everything you buy, right? So this is more than half of what you earn, and we are still accepting it today. Why? Because they have full control over your mind. You're not doing nothing to stop them. Now they are living luxurious, not as kings, but as gods. And once you understand that they are your God, that they use instruments of worship like money and monetary system, and they constantly have you work for them with your labor. Now, this is legal slavery of the modern day. Now, again, I said I wasn't going to get too far into this, but slavery was outlawed, and they had to have a new method of slavery. This new method was corporations. You can still enslave a corporation. So what they did was destroy your birth certificate, well, rather your certificate of live birth, which is a legal document saying that you were born and you are a human being. They took that certificate of live birth and made it a birth certificate. Now, if you know anything about birth certificates, they could be for products. So, like, if you get a product from China, right? That Chinese product comes to the United States, it has a birth certificate of that product. So you can do whatever you want as an owner of that product. Now, you as a person, once you lost your certificate of live birth and you decided to become a citizen of the United States, you lost your certificate of live birth. Now you have a birth certificate. Now you are a corporation slash a product, and these can be owned, right? Now, this is all legal to own slaves under the guise of a corporation or product. Now, you are not a human legally. You are now a corporation that works under the state. And you are used as collateral for the debt that the government has from the banks. So who truly owns you? The banks. Who owns the banks? The Rothschilds. Yes, we're getting conspiracy minded about the powers that be. But you got to look into it. Who owns what? Follow the money. Don't just believe it because some YouTube channel said something about it. Don't believe me just because I said something about it. Use your mind, follow the money. It's clear to me that there's a power structure that uses 15 different fucking organizations. This heads this, which heads this, which heads this. So the elite heads the banks head the fucking government heads the CIA heads this heads this, then we go all the way down to police force, and then you're under that. This is how far you are from the control head, the control top pyramid scheme. This is how far you are from being able to stop them. This has been perfected over thousands of years and generations in secret societies, and this has been implanted into each generation of the elite. They don't let you intermingle with their genes. They don't want you to intermingle with their plans and their power. See, they are not kings. They're gods. You need to look up the definition of God. Right? Now, you need to also understand that when they use government to control you directly, they have a power over you that can be manipulated at will. So, all they have to do is pass a law. Boom, you got to give up your guns. Boom, you got to do this. Boom, fishing without a license is illegal. So they use every aspect of life to control you. They've already thought of a method of poisoning the world. Poisoning all the water supply, all the lakes, all the rivers. Now you can't poison everything because there's such things as mountains. And that's pretty much they make collecting rainwater illegal. They're creating all these methods to make you have to pay for water. So Nestle, which is their hierarchy of the water spectrum, look into Nestle. They control, 80% of the world's water resources and 100% of Canadian water resources. And, I think 50 to 80% of American resources or whatever. They have legal ownership over natural water sources. Come on. Now, why can't I do that? Me and you can't do that. So how do they have the privilege of doing that? Well, what did I say about some elites liking some other elites through blood or through just elite shit? Secret societies, skull and bones. They want specific people designed to do specific functions to keep them at top. Now, not all secret society is elite, right? These are training people to be parts of government, which is still under the elite. The elites don't have to go through the secret societies. This is what you need to understand. The secret societies is to directly implant specific people to carry out specific secret agendas in secret or in specific parts of society. Sorry, that's coming out wrong. And so John Kerry, the Skull and Bones member, into government. Bush into government. Some would be for CEO positions of McDonald's, right? Or wherever, which is designed to poison and dumb down the people. There's a million different factions in life that people are being bred and trained to be in these positions, to have specific laws in place or whatever, what have you, to poison you, to control every aspect of every resource and every person and everything in the world, because you are in such a separate state than them. They don't have to work. You spin the hamster wheel. You make you make this happen. Now, without you, they can't have this happen. So they need you, and they need their secret societies, and they need this pyramid scheme of power, of them being on top, then banks, then government, then this, then that, then to control you. And they use methods of control where you think that your vote matters, but they're breeding these people to be in power. They are training these people through years and years of secret societies in order to control you. And you're voting for these people that they already have their agenda. They already know that this year we're going to have a Republican in office. In 4 years, we'll have a Democrat. In 4 to 8 years, Republican. Back and forth, back and forth. Illusion of change, illusion of change, illusion. Don't you understand that every aspect has been calculated through many, many years and generations and centuries and millenniums to control every aspect of your life, to make sure that their genes are the most prosperous, the most healthy, the most in control, the most happy, while you are their slave. You are being controlled through every aspect of life. You think I want to be doing what I'm doing right now? To pay my taxes? No, I don't want to do this. However, we have surrendered to this. We have surrendered and surrendered and surrendered, and they've taken an inch, then a foot, then a mile, then it's never going to end. It's never going to end. They don't need shackles and chains to control you. They don't need this. For if they did, well, once upon a time they did. Thousands of years ago, but they've created a structure where they control the money. They control this, they control that, they control this, they control that. Your functions of society, they control you through religion, then government, and then they separated the church and state, and they own you. They legally own you. And who owns the legal structure? Them! They own everything. You think the CEO or president of the NFL was just some guy that was pushing carts at your local grocery store when he was a kid? No. He was trained to be in that position to control the masses in entertainment through football. This is calculated. And the fact is that most people don't understand this. Most people just think, oh, well, I got to pay my taxes and die. Never separating themselves from the structure and think objectively. So the powers that be, again, I don't hate the game, or the player, I hate the game. I hate how not just minorities or women, that they get the short end of the stick. We all do. They stopped slavery for white people and Irish people. Then it was just blacks in America that were slaves, right? And when it was just black people, we outlawed that. Now, it's not just a specific group that's being suppressed. It is everyone that's not them. And they use you as the means to keep their system going. Now, as you probably already know, there's a lot less of them than there is of us. So as long as everyone doesn't have an uprising, they win. And the structure is designed where once 3 or 4 people get together and like, the government, we got to stop them and the elites and make sure that we're prosperous at the same playing field as the elites. Well, 3 or 4 people get together, they're in jail. They're killed. They're never going to make it so 1 billion people ever congregate in and conspire to stop the elite. They're never going to stop that. You can't stop the elite. The structure is in place, so you just spin that hamster wheel or go to jail. Because you need to spin the hamster wheel to pay your taxes. Right? It's designed for you to run loops all your life. It's designed for them to be in control of you, the individual, the collective, society. For everything. You can't name one aspect of your life that they can't control. And if you say your mind, they control your mind. They control how you think. You have to think what's legal or what's not legal before doing it. Right? If you want to start your own business and be prosperous, well, run through the loops. Make sure that you're paying your dues and they stay at the top. Your little business is never going to strive to be the new Rockefeller. It can't. The system's designed so you fail. They have government and everything implied in the way of you being ever so prosperous. The average person thinks $1 million is a lot of money. The average person thinks $1 million is a lot of money. But $1 million to the elite is like this. They pay fucking Justin Bieber $100 million to get a $100 million house. It's nothing. As long as they're using it in a way that they control you. $1 million? That's nothing. $1 billion? Nothing. $1 trillion? Nothing. Quadrillion? Nothing. Well, maybe about quadrillion it becomes something, because then you gotta really load up some cash. But it's really nothing. They control how much money is in their bank account. They control everything. I think that's the bottom line of this video, is they are in control of every aspect of your life, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is the point of this video. Powers that be have strategically created a utopia for them and a dystopia for you. And you have surrendered to this because you don't know any better. And you can't do anything about it. If you do know anything about it, you can't do anything about it. So it is what it is. And I'm an anarchist, so if we enlighten people on the bottom level of the spectrum, the most peaceful philosophy on the planet, well, through anarchy, we can make change. As long as we don't adhere or obey their structure, we have an opportunity for change, for good, positive change for you and future generations. Now, what did I say in my last video? I said the most important thing and the biggest meaning of life that I have conjured and understand empirically and anecdotally is what? Your genes. Passing on your genes and having the best life for your genes. This is what they have done. And this is what they have stopped you from doing. By mutation. By a lot of different means. By control. Now, I'm sorry, guys, for this being a long video. I haven't even scratched the surface. But we're going to have to stop it here, like I do in most videos that get too long. And we'll come back to this at a future date. And we will talk more in depth about this. So, thanks for watching. You know, if you guys get something out of this other than, wow, OPEX, I didn't know you was that crazy. Well, then we have succeeded. So, that's the purpose of this video, is to understand where I'm coming from on this, so we can go farther and deeper into my channel. Because this is still 101 stuff. This is stuff that I'm not using any calculation or greater understanding of anything to achieve in this video. This is stuff I knew 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So this is nothing to me, but I hope you guys get something out of it. So stay tuned for more content, and it's OPEX. I'm out.